Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel. First on the docket today, an update on the Murdaugh case. Second, a husband shoots a home intruder who just happens to be his wife's lover. Third, a judge gives Josh Duggar what he wants. Fourth, a man is arrested for the death of a woman that was the bartender. They were drinking and they were being affectionate. Shocking. An update on the Brooklyn shooting, and then our dumb criminal contestant of the day, and our recap of our contestants throughout the week. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. I want to apologize for not doing a video yesterday. We had to jump in Crime Talk 1 and do a little traveling. And by the time we got set up, it was just a little too late for the whole editing process. But it's ultimately on me. Try to make it up for you today. All right, we have a big docket. But before we get to the docket, we have a new sponsor. And some people didn't like this. Other people absolutely love it. And if you look at the people that have been signing up, everybody loves it. They realize at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, if there's a natural disaster, whether it be a snowstorm, a hurricane, anything along those lines, you have to be able to take care of yourself. And the one way you can do that is make sure that you have enough food for you and your family. We saw during COVID, you've seen before a big snowstorm or a hurricane, everything gets picked over because people are not prepared. Go to crimetalkprep.com and you can get all of the supplies that you need and to be ready for anything that may come along. It's called doing the responsible thing. It's called being an adult. All right, let's get to the docket. First on the docket, an update on the Murdaugh case down there in South Carolina. When Mallory Beach was killed, Paul Murdaugh was eventually the one charged with felony boating under the influence in connection with the crash. He was awaiting trial for his involvement before he was found murdered outside his family home in June alongside with his mother. New court documents revealed that Connor Cook, a passenger, told attorneys the Murdaughs and some of the law enforcement officers may have been trying to frame him as the driver of the boat involved in the deadly crash in Beaufort, South Carolina in 2019. Now, Mallory Beach, Connor Cook, and Paul Murdaugh were among the 6 on board the boat owned by Alex Murdaugh, Paul's father, when it crashed into a bridge back in 2019. Now, Cook told the attorneys that he lied to investigators about who was driving the boat when it crashed, because he was told by Alex Murdaugh's father, don't tell them anyone about who was driving. Now, Cook testified that Alex stopped him in the hallway at the Beaufort Memorial Hospital after the crash and told him that everything was going to be all right. I just need you to keep your mouth shut and don't tell them who was driving the boat. Cook testified that Alex stopped him at the hallway at the Beaufort Memorial Hospital after the crash and told him that everything was going to be all right. I just needed to keep my mouth shut and tell them I didn't know who was driving and that he's got me. Now, during this deposition, which was originally recorded back in January of 2020, Cook told the attorneys that Paul Murdaugh had called his grandfather from the crash scene. I heard his granddad ask him who was driving the boat, and he said that he was. Cook told the deposing attorneys that he was scared to tell the investigators the truth because he found out someone was trying to pin the crash on him. This concern sparks Cook's pre-suit petition filed in July that claims some officers of the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and the Beaufort Sheriff's Office were possibly conspiring to frame Cook for the crash. Cook admitted to lying to investigators, and he refused to this day to provide a statement indicating that he knew Paul Murdaugh was driving. While questioned by the attorneys in regards to the suit, Cook admitted to lying to investigators, and he refuses to this day to provide a statement indicating that he knew Paul Murdaugh was driving. While being questioned by attorneys in regards to the death, Cook told investigators that he did what the elder Murdaugh told him to do because he was told not to, and basically who they are. Next on the docket, a husband shoots an intruder that just turns out to be his wife's lover. A homeowner in Alabama, alerted by his wife, shot an alleged intruder, only to later learn that the intruder was in a relationship with the homeowner's wife and he had been secretly living in the house. The armed intruder, Michael Amaker, was shot in the leg and elbow Sunday night at his home in Creola. But Amaker also fired at the homeowners, Frank Reeves, striking him in the chest. Both men survived their injuries, and online records show that Amaker is being held on charges of attempted murder, possession of firearm, and an altered ID, as well as being in possession of some drugs at the time as well. At the time of the incident, authorities say that both Amaker and the homeowner's wife, Tracy Reeves, were high on methamphetamine, and their relationship involved methamphetamine as well as obviously a sexual relationship. He's actually been staying in one of the rooms for a period of time, and she was supplying him food. Bottles of urine were found in the room where Amaker was staying, indicating that he had been there for a little while. He's basically staying in the house, in the bedroom, without the knowledge of Mr. Reeves, he told the police officers. It's unclear exactly how long he'd been there, but it was at least more than a few nights. We talked about this the other night, I believe, on our live show. Under the Castle Doctrine, you have a right to defend yourself, but you can't invite other people over to the house and then shoot them. And that's not really what took place here, but the homeowner obviously has a right to defend himself. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if, well, everybody was invited over and the guy that was staying in the house, Mr. Amaker, did he have just as much right to be there? And maybe everybody should be charged. Oh, the tangled webs we weave when we try to deceive. Next on the docket, the judge gives Josh Duggar, rhymes with hugger, what he requests. Be careful what you wish for. Even his own attorneys agree that this could be something that could be inculpatory and possibly exculpatory, but let's take a look. A judge ruled on Thursday that federal prosecutors must turn over information to Josh Duggar's legal team about what role the Arkansas Police Department may have played in downloading the illicit files that were allegedly found on Duggar's computer. Prosecutors deny that the information Duggar once exists, and even if it did, the relevance would be disputed. Now, Duggar's lawyers acknowledge that the sought-after data could either be exculpatory or inculpatory. The rulings allowed Duggars to learn more about the stage in the investigation back in 2019, which ultimately led to the indictment this year. In May of 2019, members of 3 Arkansas police departments, Little Rock, Jonesboro, and Ozark, downloaded files depicting child sexual abuse from proprietary law enforcement software called Torrential Downpour. The Little Rock detectives passed on the lead to the federal investigators from Homeland Security, which allegedly traced to the former reality TV star and devout Christian Josh Duggar. Duggar wanted more information about 2 of the local police officers, Jonesboro Detective Brandon King and Ozark Officer David Warren. Now, the officers insisted they were just doing what they did and they forwarded on to the information. The judge said, produce the logs and we'll see what happens. It could be inculpatory or exculpatory. Little Rock detectives Amber Calmer's role in the investigation that ultimately led to Duggar's charges is undisputed, and she says that she found a BitTorrent user sharing horrific zip file folders that had his videos. Both allegedly depicted prepubescent girls between the ages of 7 and 9 being sexually abused. Geolocating the files to Northwest Arkansas, Calmer sent the lead to Homeland Security agents who ultimately accused Duggar of being the sender. That 2 of the other law enforcement organizations downloaded the files at roughly the same time is said to be a coincidence. Now, during the motions hearing, the government stated that all 3 police officers downloaded the same files from the same IP address within minutes of one another. But in the course of pursuing unrelated investigations, and that only Detective Calmer and not the other 2 officers made contact with HSI. Agent Faulkner obtained a warrant on November 4th of 2019. Some 4 days later, Faulkner executed the search warrant and testified that he found more images and videos showing child sexual abuse on devices inside Duggar's auto dealership. Now, during a May hearing, Agent Faulkner called one notorious file the top 5 of the worst that he had to examine, as it depicted the abuse of an 18-month-old toddler. The investigation took long to run its course. Duggar would not be indicted until April of 2021, and his trial is now scheduled for November of this year. I've talked about this, I think, on our live show. These are the worst cases, and when the agent said it is the worst of the worst, take him at his word. We'll give old Josh Duggar, rhymes with hugger, the presumption of innocence. However, the metadata is probably pretty solid as it relates to Josh Duggar's computer, and the fact that they found information on his computer is not good for him. I understand the attorneys need to do their job, but sometimes be careful what you wish for, because this could show that if these records exist, that Josh Duggar was sending this information to even more people. That is inculpatory, making it more likely that you're guilty, versus exculpatory, which would tend to reduce your criminal exposure. We'll see. The judge will let him have it. Be careful what you wish for, Duggar. Be careful what you wish for, Mr. Duggar. Next on the docket, a man has been arrested for the death of a bartender that he was drinking with, and apparently they were getting a little too cozy. Richard Melvin Peterson was taken into custody in connection with the death of 32-year-old Amanda Jo Van Grispen. Peterson, according to arrest affidavits, was drinking with the woman at a VFW on August 5th, the last time she was seen alive. She was a bartender at the VFW bar. Customers told the police they saw the pair drinking together and acting affectionate. Customers said Peterson later announced he would drive the bartender home since she had had too much to drink. Later, that pair was spotted at the Dugout Bar and Grill, where Van Grispen failed to return home after last being seen at the bar. When questioned, Peterson apparently gave some differing statements about the night in question. Investigators first searched inside Peterson's home. When they did, they returned and discovered that part of the ground at Peterson's 20-acre property had recently been disturbed by a tractor. While searching the area, they found the woman's body. She had been shot in the head and buried. Police say Peterson, who's married, checked himself into the Veterans Affairs Mental Health Ward. He was arrested at the Mental Health Ward on murder charges. Peterson is currently behind bars awaiting his next court appearance. We will give him the presumption of innocence, and this just explains how careful you need to be by meeting people at a bar if you're going to date them. I'm telling you, if you don't do a background search on somebody, it is literally dating malpractice. Check out crimetalksearch.com. You'll be happy you did.
Please go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. You'll be happy you did. If there's anyone out there you were ever curious about what was in their background, now is the time to do it. If you're going to get involved with somebody, now is the time to do it. When you go to crimetalksearch.com, you put in the name, literally millions of public records are searched, and a report is generated. And it's going to give you a report. If they have multiple social media accounts, you're going to find it. If they have multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses, it's going to be found. And more importantly, you're going to get information regarding criminal history. Hopefully the person you're searching has none whatsoever. But if it's there, it's going to be found. You're going to get everything you'd want to know, whether you're going into business or whether you're going into a personal relationship. You're going to be able to find out the information you want to know. So go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up today. You'll be happy you did.
Next on the docket, an update on a case that we talked about that took place in New York in broad daylight in front of everybody. Delilah Johnson's Brooklyn shooting. Remember the story reported on last week? The fatal shooting that was caught on camera in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. The suspect got out of the car that has just pulled up near Johnson. The suspect, a female, walks towards Johnson and then shoots her in the head. Johnson fell to the ground and the suspect continued to fire. Well, now the family says that they know who ambushed Delilah Johnson, and they are urging the family friend to come forward. Johnson's loved ones appear to believe that the phone call was part of the setup. When she got on the phone call, she said, "I'll be right back. I know in my heart that somebody called her and knew what was up and set up my sister." Johnson's sister said police have not identified the suspect. Family members of Johnson said that they recognized the woman in the zoomed-in photos that the New York Police Department released. "I know her," Johnson's mother, Delilah Barely, told the news. Oh my God, she used to stay with us. She slept in my bed, ate my food." Another family member concurred that the woman in the photo used to regularly attend family gatherings. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Two Florida parents, Enzo Dalmazzo and Daniela Dalmazzo, used fake vaccine cards to get them and their two children into Hawaii for vacation. Now, each face misdemeanor charges for intentionally and knowingly presenting a falsified document verifying their vaccination status on August 11th. It seems this might be what tipped off the Honolulu authorities was that, well, the children are not old enough to be vaccinated. I guess this is an example of good initiative, poor judgment. Enzo and Daniela Dalmazo, what were you thinking? All you had to do was either show a vaccination card to get into Hawaii or show that you've been tested and that you were negative. Now you face charges for something that, well, could have been avoided. Why lie about something like this? All you had to do was show that you tested negative and that the children were negative. Now you face charges in Hawaii, and you're going to have to travel back and forth from Florida to Hawaii to handle this matter. The mere fact that the kids were under the age of 12 should have been a tip-off that, well, they couldn't get the vaccine. Therefore, you two, that's right, you are a dumb criminal contestant of the day. Now, let's see who's going to be the winner. You all decide. Leave a comment below who's going to be the winner. Now, let's do our quick recap so that you have everything in front of you that you need to vote. Monday, Gary Chase Coble was seen riding a horse down a road into a house. Officers showed up at the house, which belonged to Coble's father, and they saw horse feces in the living room. Coble Jr. had many warrants out for his arrest. Officers arrested him and returned the horse to the owner. Can't make this stuff up. Taking your horse inside. Tuesday, Daniela Ferrero, 38, visited her 25-year-old boyfriend in prison and exposed her breasts and pleasured herself on the video chat. The boyfriend was only doing 30 days in jail, and she couldn't believe that she would be arrested for showing her breasts. That's right, she confessed to it when talked to by the police. Wednesday, a 19-year-old woman from Wisconsin accidentally shot her friend in the thigh while she was using the gun that had a laser sight on it that she was using to tease the cat. The gun went off and shot her friend in the leg. Oh, that's dumb. And then, obviously today, Enzo Dalmanzo and wife Daniela caught presenting a false vaccine card for themselves and their children on a trip to Hawaii. And as we stated, well, the kids couldn't have a vaccine card because they were too young to be vaccinated. All right. That's all we have for you today. We're going to jump in Crime Talk 1 probably tomorrow or Sunday, head back to Denver, and we'll see you in the studio next week. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time on Crime Talk.